Hi everyone, it's Ryan. Today I'm going to be showing you how to assemble a cake and a few different ways to decorate one. So to start out with, I wanted to show you a few tools that I have here that will just help in this whole process. So first off, I have my turntable. So I can link all of these as well, but this is just a metal turntable. It has a non-slip grip on the bottom. When you purchase this, it will come with a non-slip mat. And for the video, because I'm using white icing, I wanted to have like a different color mat. So if you have a turntable but you don't have a mat, you could go to like any store and get like the drawer liner or shelf liner that's grippy and just trace out a circle and cut it. So that's what I'm actually going to use today. I also have, instead of like a traditional like cardboard cake board, I have these plexiglass rounds. And the reason I got that, sorry, my dishwasher's going off. The reason I got that was because I'm gonna be doing a lot of these videos and I didn't want to keep going through all of the cardboard. And also, if you are doing something that's gonna go on a stand, having a cardboard or like a cake drum doesn't always look the best. So with these, it basically just disappears once you put it on your cake stand. So that is going to help you, or that is helpful. I also have a couple different offset spatulas, just a small one and then like a regular, I don't remember how big these are, but I will link both of these. Then I have my Mock Meringue Buttercream that I made in another video. So if you want to know how to make that, I can put the link in the description below. And so I have that is whipped up to where it is nice and soft and smooth. And then I also have, these are just my 6-inch, this is also another video that I have, my white cake mix, how to make it a little more homemade. So I have 3 of those 6-inch layers. So we can go ahead and get started. All right, so to start off with, you wanna make sure that your cake board or your turntable, whatever, not your turntable, your cake stand, whatever you're using, you wanna make sure that it's in the center of your turntable. It should turn without, you don't wanna have anything too close that it catches it or anything like that. And you wanna make sure that it turns without any catches. I always used, whenever I had my shop, I used the Wilton one with the green. A lot of you probably know what I'm talking about. That one was fine for all those years. However, it did kind of rock back and forth a little bit. So it kind of left ridges on the sides of my cake. So I invested in a smoother one that just turns super smooth and doesn't have any of those issues. So to start out with, I always put just a little bit of icing on my cake board so that it will keep it from sliding around too much, especially once it gets cold. So right now we're working on just crumb coating the cake. And I always have a damp rag. So if you don't have a mat, you don't want to cut out a mat or anything like that, you can always use a damp rag or a damp paper towel. You just want to make sure if you are using cardboard that you don't have it too wet, because the cardboard will soak that up and then the cardboard could buckle on you. And you definitely do not want that. So I put my cake, make sure it's in the center of the cake board as well. And then we are just going to add some icing. If you wanted to at this point, you could go ahead and put some simple syrup on your cake if you wanted to. Mine is nice and moist, and so it is okay, and I'm not gonna simple syrup it. You can use your offset for this part. You don't want too thick of a layer of icing in between the layers. This is pretty good. You wanna make sure that your icing, that there's the same amount all the way around, but you don't have to worry about it being super smooth. So I'm gonna put my next layer on, and for my bottom one, I put the bottom of the cake down. For these next 2, I put the top down because the bottom of the cake is the flattest, and you wanna turn it and make sure that you're not getting off a little bit. So that is nice and even. So I'm just gonna put a little bit more icing. Just use your spatula. You could use your offset, like I said. to put this on there. Just go around and smooth it. And then we're going to put the top layer on. Now right now, we are just going to be crumb coating this. Some people don't like to crumb coat. It is totally up to you. I prefer to crumb coat it because that way it just really ensures that you're not going to get any crumbs in your outer layer of icing. So for this, I like to put quite a bit of icing on the top. And actually, let me go grab another bowl real quick. All right, so I grabbed another bowl. This is going to be for scraping your offset into while you're doing this step. So this icing that I'm going to be scraping off is going to likely have some crumbs, and you don't want to get that in your big bowl of smooth, crumb-free buttercream. So I am going to work from the top down, spinning your turntable as you go, and just kind of push it over the edge. Now this is a crumb coat, so it is okay. You want to see the cake through the icing. And I do hold my spatula a little bit weird, probably to some of you. I'm sure a lot of you are used to seeing people do this. I did this forever, but the leaning over so much just kind of hurts my shoulder and all of that. So this is just something that I've learned at work that helps. Let's see. I'm going to zoom you out just a little bit. Okay. So you can see now a little bit better. I'll zoom you back in once I get to doing more. But this is how I hold it. I don't really know how to explain it. It took some getting used to hold it like this. But you're just taking your icing from the top, pushing it over the edge, and you're just taking it down the side of the cake. And you're just sealing all of the cake underneath so that whenever you go to do your final coat, so that you do not get crumbs. And this can also help you make sure that your cake is nice and level and even up the sides. So I'm going to try to push some down to the bottom just to seal the very bottom. And then I like to try to show you from this way. I'm going to clean off my spatula, and then I'm going to put it down right on the board and go around the bottom just to make sure that's all even. And then I'm going to go back around. And if you were making a naked cake, this is where you would stop. So I would stop here, for like a crumb coated naked cake. And for the top, you're just making sure that your spatula is very level and you're going right across. And making sure to clean off your spatula in between every swipe so that you don't leave any behind. I'll show you what it looks like whenever you leave some behind. It leaves this around the edge. So when you're doing this also, I'm gonna put some more back on here so you can see. You wanna make sure that while you're smoothing your sides out, you want to leave I call it a crown around the top. So smooth everything back out, and you want to leave this crown on the top. So that is what's going to help you get the top super smooth, is you're pushing that back across and leveling that off. So you're just gonna go all the way around doing this. And I am doing this at a different angle because of the camera for you guys than what I would normally do. So, all right. So like I said, if you were doing a naked cake, this is what I would call like a naked crumb coat cake. So you could leave it here. These are really pretty, like dusted with powdered sugar. Put some fresh greenery on it, some berries, anything like that. And you do want to go in with a rag, especially because this is a acrylic round. You want to go in and make sure to clean off the edge. You don't want to push into the cake while you're doing this, but you just want to get all of that excess icing off of the bottom. So I will put this in the refrigerator and let it chill for about 10 minutes before we put the outside icing on. All right, so my cake had been in the fridge for about 10 minutes. So now I'm just going to do I'm going to show you words. For the first design, I'm going to show you some horizontal spatula bands. So really just taking your spatula all the way around the cake. So to start out with, we are just going to pile some icing on. And something I want to mention is that your icing needs to be really smooth when you're doing the outside of a cake. Mine has been sitting here and it has gotten a little bit bubbly. So I really should put this back on the mixer to smooth out some of those bubbles. But for the sake of this video and time, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to be working out some of these bubbles as I'm going. And if I was doing a completely smooth finished cake, I would definitely put it back on the mixer. So I'm just going to take, and this is how I'm holding the spatula with my pointer finger on the metal part. And you're just kind of, right now, using it at an angle to push out toward the edge of the cake. So I'm taking it, now I have it level, and I'm going around. And now you just want to work this icing that you have pushed over the edge onto the cake. So you're just pushing the icing down. And you want it to get all the way down to the bottom. Don't worry if it gets on your cake board. We can clean that up later. And then you want to make sure that as you're spinning, see up here, it's not making that crown up toward the top. So I'm going to get a little bit more icing. And I'm going to go back to the top and spread a little bit more. And then get this pretty smooth. I'm holding my spatula nice and level and just spinning the turntable. So now I'm going to go in and smooth the bottom again. And I know, we're doing a textured cake, so you don't really have to have this part smooth. But if you started doing the spatula bands with all of these gaps, you're going to notice it in the final product. So you want to make sure that you go around and get the sides pretty smooth. So I'm just holding my spatula nice and perpendicular to the cake board and just spinning fairly quickly. So right now I'm going to stop. And what I'm going to do now, you can use your large spatula or your small spatula. I'm going to use my small one just so that I can show you guys. It'll give a better texture and more texture. So I am going to just hold my spatula here. And once you get around to where you started, just go up a little bit. And we're just going to go in a ring all the way around the cake. And like I said, I'm doing these things in different positions than what I'm used to so that you guys can see it with the camera. So if you get anything like that, you can leave this, but I'm just going to go back over it and smooth it and just keep going around. If it builds up on your spatula too much, go ahead and stop, scrape it off, and just keep going. So you're obviously using the larger spatula, you're going to have larger bands. And these textured cakes are super popular right now, which was why I wanted to show them. So once you get up here to the top, just continue around. Once you get to where you know you're above the cake, just stop. Switch back to your large spatula. Make sure it's clean. And then you're just going to go in and smooth the top, just like your crumb coat. You want to make sure the top is nice and smooth and level. And there are a few, like this spot right here. It's a textured cake. It is okay. But every single cake is going to have a back. So that would be my back. So because that is where I would like for my back to be, I'm going to go ahead and start on this side. So once you get to the top of the cake, get it nice and level. And then you're just going to kind of angle your spatula a little bit and just hold it right on the top and just spin your cake. And like I said, my icing is a little bit more bubbly than I would like it to be. But for these videos, I can't put my icing on the mixer for 30 minutes every time I want to smooth it. So there we go. So this one looks really pretty with some greenery on top, and you could do a border on the bottom if you wanted to, but I like these textured cakes without a border. It just makes them look a little more rustic. And right now I'm just going around the bottom to clean off my cake board. So I am going to get a picture of this real quick so that I can have a picture for my cover photo. And then I'm going to scrape it all off and start with a different design. All right, so this next design I just kind of call like an unfinished cake. It's definitely rustic. It looks really pretty if you put just like a sprig of greenery in like one little spot on the bottom, and then kind of a semicircle of greenery on the top with like a big flower or something. We actually had it as one of our wedding cakes. It's a really pretty cake. You could accent it with gold if you wanted to do some like gold painting. I'm sorry, you're gonna hear the cat chewing in the background. She's over here having her dinner. So same principle, you're just going around the top, pushing down, and going around the side to somewhat smooth it. The beauty of this one is the unfinished sides, so it's not even. And honestly, I have the hardest time with this kind of look because it is so unfinished, and it's hard to get an unfinished look, if you can believe that. Once you've spent so much time getting smooth cakes, it is so hard to actually make like and I'm not bragging on myself here, I'm just saying it's hard when you're used to making cakes smooth all the time to do something like that with a rough texture. So right now, I'm gonna go around and just do a couple swipes here and there. And what I'm actually doing is just digging away a little bit of the icing. And you wanna make sure you have a really good amount up to the top. I'm gonna kind of do the same up here. You wanna make sure this crown is nice and tall. So get the top how you want it to look. I'm gonna get mine a little bit more smooth. It's okay if it has a few like divots and stuff like that. I don't know if you could see that or not. But then you are just gonna take your spatula and just lightly go around. And that is it. Like, you want these divots, you want these unfinished spots. And actually this part, which is actually normally the back, I'm gonna go around it one more time. That will be your front. So you want that unfinished look, the crown around the top. What I like to do is go in with some edible gold, and you mix it with either an extract, like a lemon extract or vodka, and you paint the top, like the ridges around the top. You can paint the lines where it's uneven. That's what I really like to do with this design. And like I said, I would put some greenery and flowers up here and like one little sprig of greenery right here, and you're done, you're finished. These are really popular. This would work for like a simple wedding cake if you want to DIY a wedding cake, or you know, you were asked to do one, or a baby shower, bridal shower, anything like that. These work perfect for that with very little effort and relatively cheap decoration. All right, so we're back to a naked cake. So this next design is just going to be more of like a textured, whipped look. So it's just going to be just like a texture on the sides, and then I like to do like rings around the top just to kind of finish it off. And I'll have my cameraman bring the camera closer whenever I do the top this time. So you're just pushing over the edge so you have some to work with. Down the sides. Make sure you get to the bottom. And with this one, I do like to get it fairly. You want to have like a decent amount of icing on the sides because you're going to be almost like scooping some away. I'm going to go back to the top, add a little bit more so that we make sure there is enough coming over the side to make that crown. So I'm going to just do this top portion so we get that crown up there. And then you are going to, let's see, I'm going to go around this bottom just to clean some off of the board a little bit. So there's not so much to clean up later. And then you're just going to take it and go back and forth. It's okay that there's icing on it and you're not taking it off, like scraping it on your bowl every time, because it leaves those, like that wavy texture. If you think it's too much of a wavy texture, go ahead and scrape off your spatula and go in. Oh, let me wipe that off. Okay, so you can go back in and kind of smooth some of those out if you want to. But I like it with more of those like whipped areas. So you're just kind of working your way up the cake. You're just going back and forth. And you can go either direction. And then sometimes you'll find yourself getting into a bit of a pattern. So what I like to do before I smooth the top is I go around and anywhere that looks like it's kind of a pattern, I just kind of swoop over it to break that pattern. So there we go. And now I'm going to smooth the top. Fairly smooth. Like I said, I'm going to do rings around the top. Well, I'll show you two ways you could finish this. I'll show you kind of the whipped finish, and then I'll show you the rings like I like to do. I'll let Cody grab the camera real quick. Okay, so if you wanted to do like a whipped texture, you would do the same thing. Just go back and forth, all around, and then kind of bring it toward the center. And this is kind of the reason I don't like this. It just kind of makes semicircles all over. So what I prefer to do, I'm gonna smooth it just a little bit. What I prefer to do is just leave my spatula fairly flat, not like I did for the spatula bands one. I just kind of leave it a little bit more flat and just do like a really wide ring and just bring it to the center. So that's how I like to finish that one. So this one, just like the other ones, would be great for a baby shower, wedding shower, birthday, just any gathering, honestly. You could add some greenery to it, but you don't have to. It would be really pretty with colored icing as well. If you wanted to do like a light rosy pink, it's really pretty. And I am just, yes, I'm making a mess here. But just smooth off the bottom. And yeah. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all of these different designs. Let me know in the comments if you have any other decorated cake videos that you'd like to see. I have a few more that I'd like to share, but I would really like to know if you guys have any designs or ideas that you would like to see. Thanks for watching. Bye.